Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first day of the Israel e-commerce virtual summit presented by Namogoo, the only company preventing customer journey hijacking. This is the first ever event of its kind featuring innovative Israeli startups who are reshaping the e-commerce world. As a reminder, the summit will run over the next 4 days. Your registration entitles you to all of these exciting sessions. And if you're unable to attend the live event, our follow-up communication will provide you the link to the on-demand recordings. You can access all sessions with the link you received for this one. We're very excited today to have two industry experts for our next session on how preventing customer journey hijacking increases conversion rates for tailored brands. I'll let my speakers introduce themselves.
Thank you very much, Francine. Hi, everyone. My name is Ohad Hagai, and I'm the SVP Marketing at Namogoo. I've been with Namogoo for about 2 years, where we help online retailers across the globe increase their conversion rate and business performance by preventing customer journey hijacking. Before Namogoo, I worked for different B2B Israeli startups selling other e-commerce solutions. And before that, I was the director of e-commerce for Sears Holdings in the US. More exciting than my presence today here is Chai from Taylor Brands. Chai, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks, Ohad. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I'm assuming our audience are in different time zones today. My name is Chaitanya Pallapothula. I'm SVP Omni-Channel Technology at Taylor Brands. I also have a short name, Chai, so feel free to refer me by that name. I've been with Taylor Brands for a little more than 2 years. And before this, I worked for several mid-sized and large companies like Levi's, Walmart, Expedia, and few startup companies like PopSugar. But I spent most of my 20-year career in retail, digital, and omni space, helping the customer with a shopping experience that is easy and effortless.
Thanks, Chai. But before we begin, let's just quickly cover some housekeeping items. Although all phone lines have been muted, we do encourage you to ask questions, so please use the GoToWebinar question panel. The webinar will be recorded, and you'll receive a link to the on-demand version in our follow-up email. Feel free to share this with your colleagues who were unable to attend the live broadcast today. There will be 2 short poll questions, and the results will be shared with you. Okay, then, let's get started. Ohad, I'll hand the reins over to you.
Thank you very much, Francine. To put some framework for the next 40 minutes of this session, here's the agenda. We are going to cover and learn about the problem which we define as customer journey hijacking. We're going to learn and hear from Chai about the impact of customer journey hijacking at Taylor Brands, and more specifically on men's Wearhouse. We're going to learn how Chai and his team have been able to tackle the problem of customer journey hijacking and learn about the business impact of solving this problem. If time allows, we're going to have some open Q&A at the end of the session. You are more than welcome to submit your questions through the panel of the GoToWebinar throughout the session. So one thing that is unique about Namogoo is that we solve a problem that most online retailers are not aware of. And for that reason, before we jump and learn from Chai about the impact of customer journey hijacking and what did they do to tackle this problem, it is critical that we all understand what does this problem do to your website. This is an illustration we like to show that highlight the problem more on a physical store. I will let everyone here to view or take a look on this on the screen for a second and to realize what's wrong with this problem, with this picture. As many of you notice, the Adidas logo does not belong there, and there is no way Nike will allow an Adidas logo to be positioned on their flagship store on the wall, or to put a rack with Adidas items right next to the checkout. But there is a big difference between the physical world and the digital world. In the physical world, there is only one place where you, the retailer, are meeting with your customers, right? This is the stores. The way you experience the store as an online merchant or as a retailer is exactly the same way your customers are experiencing your store. On the digital world, however, there is a big difference. The way you experience your store, your online website, whether it's through the headquarters network or the headquarters computers is different than the way your customers are experiencing your site. And the difference is your customers are experiencing your site through their device. And the way they will see or experience your site might differ depending on the device they're using, the type of software they have installed on their device, whether it's a legitimate software or a non-legitimate software, the network they're using, and different other factors. This diagram we like to show because it illustrates the customer journey that online retailers are working extremely hard to build, right? Every online retailer is investing millions of dollars in driving traffic to the website, whether it's from buying traffic on social media, native advertising such as TV, some other ways, of course, building a brand that attracts repeat visitors organically to your website. And then it doesn't end there, right? The customer journey goes throughout also the website experience itself. You guys are investing millions of dollars, most likely having hundreds of people in the headquarters team working on building a winning customer journey that is supposed to move the customer from the home page through the product page to the cart, checkout, and eventually to come back and shop again in the website. So here's how customer journey hijacking looks like on the digital world. Basically, what happens today is that 15 to 25% of user sessions that are coming to any retailer website are not getting the same website or digital experience the same way that the online retailers have designed it. Instead, these users are getting exposed to unauthorized ads that are injected into their browsers by some kind of a digital malware that is installed on their device. Three things are making this problem critical. The first one, as I mentioned before Namogoo, retailers' awareness to the problem is very minimal. In fact, I can say today that over 95% of the online brands who work with Namogoo didn't know about this problem before working with Namogoo. Moreover, most analytical solutions will not capture this problem. In other words, if a user comes to your website, got exposed to this type of ad that you see on the screen, clicked and went shopping somewhere else, your analytical tools will show you a bounce rate, but it won't show you the reason for that bounce rate. The second thing is the impact of this problem on retailers' revenue is devastating. What our customers are reporting is a revenue loss of 2 to 5%. And if you think about online retailers that are making hundreds of millions of dollars on their website on an annual base, 2 to 5% is a very significant amount. Third, consumers don't know the problem is caused by malware that is installed on their device. In other words, your customers will blame you for the poor experience they're getting on your device, and in some cases will feel your website is not secure or safe, and the result is impact on your brand. Let's take a quick look on a screen recording of an infected session. This is a recording we did here at Namogoo from a computer that is infected. And just to emphasize, while we're recording the Nike website, the source of the problem is not on Nike website. This is on the customer device. And you can see the type of ads that are showing up on the screen, whether it's on the category page like in here or the product page itself. And to be very clear, AliExpress did not put these ads here. These ads are being pulled through the affiliate network and being placed on Nike website, finding good space on the website and trying to take the users to complete the transaction somewhere else. Another very important note is that as users today, we are expecting a website to recommend other items we might be interested in, right? Amazon started with it many years ago, and now most websites are doing it today with personalization tools and other tools that they're using. This makes this problem even worse since the customers feel this is part of the experience, and in that specific experience is very happy that Nike is offering them to buy also at Nordstrom or shoes.com or other websites. So I'm assuming some of you are hearing about this problem for the first time. So we have some information in here from the industry. And here's what the industry is saying about this problem. We choose to show two resources from very known sources. The first one is a thorough analysis done by Google on this problem. And according to this report, and you can see the link there, you can find this report on Google. According to Google, ad injection is impacting tens of millions of Chrome users online and is the single largest source of frustration amongst Chrome users. The second source is a blog post by Mozilla from late 2018. And in this blog post, Mozilla is warning the Firefox users about browser hijacking. And if you read that blog, and again, you can find it very easily on Google, you will see that Mozilla is warning the users that their browser was hijacking. And if that happened, the hijacker can inject ads directly into their browser. So how users are getting infected? Many times we hear people saying that, how is that possible that so many users are getting impacted by that problem? Users can get their device infected by many ways. This problem is impacting desktop users as well as mobile users. In some cases, user can get infected by monetization malware that is bundled with a free legit software. So someone, for example, can download a free Adobe Reader and not necessarily read all the terms and conditions, just click next to get the software installed on their device. But guess what? This free software is not really free. It's coming with a price, and your computer right now is impacted with this type of ads. Think how many times you have actually spent reading the terms and conditions when you download the software. In some other cases, ads can be injected through free Wi-Fi networks, such as airport, for example. So next time, if you're choosing to join a free Wi-Fi on the network on an airport, take a moment to read the privacy and terms and conditions, and you will find that you're giving permission to the network to inject offers throughout your browsing experience. Mobile apps are also compromising user privacy. I'm sure you have read something about it in the past week or so. There is constantly ongoing news about mobile apps compromising users' privacy and manipulating the experience itself. So now that we understand the problem, let's just emphasize for a second the impact of customer journey hijacking for online retailer. The first one is ruining your customer experience. You guys are investing a lot of efforts, many years in building a winning customer journey, but the result today is that a significant proportion of your users are not getting the same experience as you designed or as you intended. The second one is a negative impact on your digital investment. If you invest marketing dollars to attract users to your website, but these users, 10 to 25% of them, are eventually going to shop at your competitors, that's not a smart use of your digital investment. The third thing is damaging brand equity. As we said before, users will blame you for the poor experience. If your website is showing inappropriate content, the users will associate that inappropriate content with your brand. Last but not least, we're all in here, except with all the respect to customer experience and building brand equity, we're all here to make money, right? The impact of customer journey hijacking on online revenue is devastating, and we're going to learn more about this problem from Chai in the next few slides.
Thanks, Ohad. So now that we've heard about customer journey hijacking, I'm going to launch a quick poll to find out how many of you had actually heard of this before. So if you'd please click the screen on your answer. Yes, you've heard of this problem before. No, you've never heard of it. And sometimes we've heard from people that they've heard of the term customer journey hijacking or online journey hijacking, but in fact, now having heard Ohad explain what it really is, what they thought it was something different. So if you wouldn't mind giving your answer here, and we'll share the results in just a second. Okay, thank you for participating, and I'll just share with you the results. So in fact, 38% of our visitors had actually heard of customer journey hijacking before. 25% of them hadn't heard of the term before, and 38, unsurprisingly, had heard of it, but it was actually something else. All right.
Thank you very much, Francine. So now that we have a bit more clarity about customer journey hijacking and the impact it has on online retailers, I will let Shai share how Men's Wearhouse learned about this problem, what kind of impact it had on their website, and the business results achieved by preventing that. Shai?
All right, thank you, Ohad. Just to share with you guys, I was in the third bucket, the 38% bucket before I interacted with Namogoo and learned about this in depth. Okay, so before I go and share our story, how we have solved it, let me introduce you all, what Tailored Brands is. I'm sure not many of you would have heard about it, but then, Tailored Brands provides a personal, convenient, one-of-a-kind shopping experience with compelling products and a world-class service. We own several, leading menswear retailers like Men's Wearhouse, Joseph A. Bank, Moose, based out of Canada, and we also own a designer brand, Joseph A. Bood, and K&G Fashion Superstore that's based out of Atlanta. Now, let me share some of our goals and then where we are headed into the future. Like our CEO recently mentioned, we are in the middle of a transformation journey. Now, we continue to provide personalized products and services to our customers. And in fact, we are the #1 retailer selling custom suits in the United States. We'd like to tell our brand stories more and ensure our brand stands for more than just a price. We also have, great products and services. I'll share a couple of our stories that I recently heard from, our customer care center. One of our job associates from Florida drove 2.5 hours to a customer's wedding to ensure the groom walked down the aisle in his tuxedo jacket. In another example, one of our store associate and a corporate office employee partnered together in the midst of a Hurricane Harvey, that's in Houston, for those who still remember, while their own homes are being impacted, to ensure a local police captain had his suit in time. Now, we hear several such stories every day. When you can make an emotional connection with your customer, it will have an impact on your retention. I recently learned a stat, acquiring a new customer is 7 times more expensive than retaining an existing customer. Next slide, please. So when your customer is on the website, it's even more critical to provide uninterrupted and seamless shopping experience for the customer. Now, here at Tailored Brands, we actually were familiar with the problem of customer journey hijacking, but we did not realize it was impacting such a high number of web visitors. Now, when Namogoo first reached out to me a year and a half back and alerted us about the impact it has on our digital experience, that's when I think we really started investigating further. As you can see the following screenshot, this was not an issue we could have ignored. When Namogoo explained this problem is occurring on the customer side, we realized that many of our customers are not experiencing the site that we designed it, and instead getting an experience with the distractions, and even worse, these distractions were directing our customers to shop at the other retailers. Here is another example I'd like to show you. The type of the ads are injected to our customer browsers are really sophisticated. We also have customer recommendations to our customers. If you look at this pop-up over here, it's really surprised that this pop-up mimics the recommendations that we show to our own customers. They were offering items very close to ours and made it look like if they were an integrated part of our website experience. And this, of course, makes it even larger problem. Our customers don't even realize this, and they think it's actually part of our website. And then they end up clicking it and then get navigated to the other sites and then outside of our website. Then we all, honestly, like most of you, we all invest a great deal of time and effort into building a winning customer journey. We hire agencies and then gather and use the customer feedback and apply numerous tests to optimize our experience. Finding out that our experience for our end users was being hijacked by something out of our control was really frustrating. While we realized this is impacting our revenues, we are not sure the actual impact of these ads. Before we jump into the solution and the business results, I have asked Namogoo the same set of questions that we typically ask any service deployed on our website. Hey, how complicated was the deployment? How do you trust the data? And what kind of an impact will this have on the site performance? So then we learned that in terms of deployment, it's a simple JavaScript, and you can just add it to your tag manager. A lot of the retailers have tag managers, and we use the Google Tag Manager. And then there is absolutely zero development. That was really encouraging. And we also enabled the tracking and integrated Namogoo into our Google Analytics, so that all the numbers that we track and then we actually produce out of the Google Analytics, we want to make sure that they are 100% aligned with Namogoo's dashboard results. We also learned Namogoo's solution has a minimal impact on the site performance. Next slide, please. Thank you. During the pilot, we realized, I think close to 16% of the customers have experienced the session hijacking, and it was really frustrating to see 1 out of 6 customers were not experiencing our website the way we designed it. Now, to learn the business impact of eliminating these distractions from our website, we started running an A/B test and see what was happening when we provided a cleaner experience for 50% of the site visitors and leaving the control group in a monitored state. In terms of the business impact, we were expecting to see some improvement in the conversion, honestly, but we did not really expect it to be this high. We saw improvements throughout the funnel, including a decrease in the bounce rate and cart abandonment rate, and then most importantly, the website conversion rate. We saw an overall improvement of 2.36% in our conversion rate, and then for those of you that are in the retail digital space, and then a 2.36% conversion rate, you can make a simple math. Depending on your digital e-com business, it can translate into millions. Okay. Next slide, please. We moved into deploying the Namogoo, and then at this point it's a no-brainer. It's onto the 100% of the site, but we left 5% of the traffic in the monitored state, to make sure session hijacking is not just a one-time thing, is consistently happening. And we moved to a 95/5 traffic split, and we have that's exactly what we have it in place today. We review performance quarterly, and the business impact that Namogoo provides has been pretty consistent over the past few quarters. Next slide, please. Thank you. And this is what you are seeing right now is our business impact. On top of the business impact, Namogoo provides a dashboard that includes unique insights into the segment of users impacted by the customer journey hijacking. Here are some interesting facts. I'm not sure if the screen is. Sorry, previous slide, please. I'm not sure if the screen is clear enough, but you can feel free to spend some time. But the interesting thing is you can see the statistics by not only just the device type, browser, and etc. I think the next slide probably has a little bit more details. I think next slide, please. And then it's also interesting to see, it's just not a particular category page or a particular part of the funnel that is being impacted. And then you can clearly see, we were able to see, in our case particularly, the customer journey hijacking is impacting pretty much in every category. It happens in every step of the journey, primarily in the category pages, search results pages, and sometimes even in the cart itself. Okay, so with this, with the rise of the mobile usage, like most of you, our mobile, the percentage of users using the mobile has definitely is significantly higher. Honestly, during the Black Friday and Cyber Monday, last Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we have seen 60 to 70% of the users were coming from the mobile or iPad experience, whereas the desktop was less than probably is in the range of the 30 to 40%. But with the rise of the mobile usage, hijackers find their way to mobile devices, and moreover, while many people think that our Mac computers or iOS guarantee the higher security, and this is not always the case, at least from our observation. We have learned that the infection rate for Safari in desktop is almost similar to the Chrome. In mobile online journey, hijacking is impacting a bigger share of the iOS population compared to the Android users. Ohad, back to you.
Chai, thank you very, very much for all the details and the interesting story. Always happy to speak with you and learn new things about Taylor Brands. So the next part is actually very interesting. One of the assumptions we hear a lot from prospects and customers is that, okay, let's say 15% of my users are impacted by this type of ads. These are most likely not a very important segment for me. That's what our prospects are telling to Namogoo at the beginning. People think that these users are most likely less tech savvy, might be older demographic, or in other words, people don't think that this is the main segment or an important segment for them. Well, guess what? Our data at Namogoo shows exactly the opposite. Infected users are actually, when getting a clean experience, converting much higher than average users. The numbers you are seeing on these charts are based on an analysis done with over hundreds of millions of web sessions. I didn't mention that at the beginning, but Namogoo is already working with over 100 global brands, some of the largest online retailers in the world. And our data consistently across all retailers is showing that infected users are actually engaged users. Okay, so if the average users on the websites we are working with is converting at a 2.5%, the engaged users, when they're getting a clean experience, are converting at 5 to 7% times higher than the average users on the site. I will have to say that an interesting story in here is that a lot of our customers have actually reached out to us and asked us for a way to build additional product to be able to target these specific users. Since every marketing executive, of course, as a marketing executive, you would like to invest your marketing dollars on a segment that you know already is more likely to convert and generate business for you. So, Chai, can you please share this information and the results of this segment on Men's Wearhouse, please?
Happy to do that. In fact, before even I share our results, when we first looked at the results, I'm like, I did not believe it. I was challenging Namogoo. I don't think these results seem to be correct. But then the good news, the one thing that we did was we started tracking the results in our own Google Analytics tool. The reason is because we saw a significantly higher conversion rate, or the highly engaged users are being impacted. As a result, I think you see the conversion difference between the normal users and the people that are being impacted is significantly higher. And then it took a while for us to understand why I see such a high conversion rate impact, because it's clearly impacting the users that are highly engaged. And then in this case, if I just let me go into the statistics, the infected you can clearly see, we saw an improvement for an average user who's converting at X on the cart. They're definitely actually I see the engaged users are converting at 3X. Similarly, the same trend continues, the checkout at 4.6Y, and then the conversion, overall conversion, that we saw, is around 2.36%. Their conversion rate, particularly if you just take the engaged users conversion rate, I think it's 5.5 times more than the average users on the website. Just to put it in the summary, what I think these session hijacking, unauthorized ads are impacting is not your normal user or an average user. They are actually impacting your highly engaged users. It's a very interesting learning out of this exercise for me, and I'm so glad that we implemented this. So next slide, please.
Chai, thank you very much for covering this. Before we summarize and move to Q&A, can you please share a few takeaways for the e-commerce audience we have here?
I'd like to share, our head of the stores once said, retail is a jungle. There are two types of animals in the jungle, and the ones that are serving the menu and the ones that are on the menu. And there are a lot of these macro parameters influencing the retail business today. It's very important to provide our customers with an inspiring and seamless experiences. Please don't assume you know what your customers are seeing, and protect your marketing investment. And your customer experience is your advantage.
This is great, Chai.
So, Chai, I'd like to thank both you and Ohad for really inspiring presentations. now that we've heard about customer journey hijacking, we'd be interested to know from our audience if you would also like to learn more about this phenomenon and find out how this possibly is affecting your business. So if you wouldn't mind participating in our last poll of the day, would you like to know more about the impact of customer journey hijacking on your website? And I'll just give people a second to click on the poll. Great, we're seeing a wonderful response on this. Okay, thank you.
So thank you very much, Chai, and thank you very much, Francine. Before we move to Q&A, there is one last thing that we want to offer you here at Namogoo. We actually have a tool that offers a free website analysis on your website, so you can learn which competitors are featured on your site, how unauthorized ads are disrupting your user experience, and which of your website pages throughout the journey are most impacted. If you want to get that free website analysis, you can go right now to scan.namogoo.com, fill up the information, and you will get an analysis of this phenomenon on your website.
Thanks, Ohad. So we do have some time left, and obviously our audience has been very engaged in the presentations, and we've seen a number of questions coming up throughout the discussion. I'm going to address some of the questions that came through. So first of all, one of our attendees asked, does this phenomenon have any effect on site performance? Does the Namogoo solution have any effect on your site performance?
So Chai, since this is something you already touched, do you want to take this question?
Right, I'm happy to share what we have seen on our website. I think absolutely, it's I would say it's in an acceptable range for us because it has a very minimal impact, and then site performance, like anybody else, makes a lot of difference for us. We actually, in fact, I was checking on the Akamai SOSTA. I think that's what we use for the real-time user monitoring. We were checking, I think, Men's Wearhouse and Joseph Bank. Both our brands are one of the top, stood out to be top in the range of in our competitors when it comes to the page performance. And then we take it very seriously. It's integral part of our software development lifecycle, and we do not integrate with any vendor that is actually impacting our page performance, which results into your revenue on the impact, right? Impact on the revenues. So Namogoo, in this case, has a very minimal impact, and then yes, it does have some impact, but that's like in an acceptable range, I would say. Are happy to say that in the we have a range, and then it's on the lower end of the range.
Great, thank you. Another question that's come to us is, what happens with browser extensions that people choose to install? Will they be affected when you deploy Namogoo?
So I can take that question, Francine. The straight answer is no. Namogoo solution is focused on basically minimizing the impact of non-legitimate extensions or malwares running on your customer devices, right? In most cases, if your customer chooses to install a legitimate browser extension, he put it there for a specific reason, and we don't see that as a value to the customer to remove it from the site. In other words, you would not tell your customers, don't come to shop in my store without your phone, please, so you cannot compare prices or you cannot do other things. And for that same reason, we are focused on enhancing your digital experience or making sure that your customers are going to get the same digital experience the way you designed it. And if your customers are choosing a specific browser extension, you can have visibility of how many of your visitors are impacted or the digital experience of these users is impacted by that legit browser extension. But as a rule of thumb, we're not going to eliminate that impact on that user.
Thanks, Ohad. So what if customers already have an ad blocker installed?
I will also take that question. Many times people confuse Namogoo with ad blockers. Namogoo is not an ad blocker solution. An ad blocker solution is something that the customer installed on their device. An ad blocker, if your customers has installed it, is basically blocking legitimate ads that are supposed to serve as part of the web experience. That's the way ad blockers are working. Ad blockers are not preventing non-legitimate ads. In other words, if your users are using an ad blocker, they will still be exposed to these malware injected ads while they're browsing your website. If your website is serving advertisement as part of monetization of your website experience, then your users or these users using an ad blocker will not get these legit ads that you serve as part of your website. But the customer journey hijacking has nothing to do with ad blockers. In fact, ad blockers today do not block any unauthorized ads or malware scripts running on the user device.
Thanks, Ohad. And one last question. I think I'm going to throw this out to Chai. You touched on it in your presentation briefly, but somebody's asked, do they need their IT department to install Namogoo for them?
No, I don't think so. It's not needed because if you are familiar with the Google Tag Manager, I'm assuming that you probably have a lot of the affiliates that you integrate with, that you have it on your website to drive the traffic. And then it's like as simple as dropping a pixel on your website through your Google Tag Manager.
Great, thank you so much. So that just about wraps us up for today. Again, Chai, thank you so much for sharing your experience with Namogoo and with our audience today and giving your time. Ohad, always a pleasure. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. And just a reminder, we have many more exciting sessions coming up tomorrow and the following days throughout this week. You can use the same link that you registered or that you joined this webinar to join the next sessions. In the meantime, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
All right, thank you.